Squad is in the building. One time for my niggas, two times for my niggas. It's your main man, Daddy Shiva. Back in the building yet again with our 12 Caban full moon or alignment Reiki session. I don't even want to waste no time. I kind of just want to get into this. I got some vibes going in the back, some Schumann
Maximum
resonance.
volume.
Gotta make sure that shit loud. Got the Schumann resonance going in the back. I just quickly want to give a little love, give a little attention, give a little focus, give a little libation and energy to the ancestors known and unknown. So let me get this singing bowl jumping. Just continue to breathe, continue to hold space for all of the ancestors known and unknown. I do ask that y'all excuse me, my allergies are acting up. Usually that means there's a big ass change that's about to take place in the environment. So, yeah, the energy's definitely in the air. It's fucking up my nose. All right. So welcome everyone. I'm really glad and honored that all of y'all could be here, whether you're live, whether you're watching this after the fact, whether you're repeating this over again to kind of get even deeper into the message. I truly appreciate you all taking the time out just to sit with me, to heal with me, to help me facilitate this healing within yourself. Um, Big shout outs to you and yours for aligning yourself to this message. I deeply appreciate it. From one Naga to another. All right. Today we are here to address the energies that made themselves present during the Taurus new moon, or Taurus full moon, I should say, excuse me, of 2019 going on during Scorpio season. This is happening with a lot of other significant, planetary placements and other significant synchronized alignments with other energies that are ultimately fully encapsulated by the energy of 12 Caban within the Zolkin calendar. That is the day that the full moon fell upon. That particular day is going to hold a lot of the energy and the message, not only for the next lunar cycle, but also for the next Zolkin cycle, as we know that the Zolkin New Year actually starts today. So within the Zolkin calendar, there is a 360-day year long cycle that is resetting today, like I said. And that full moon that we just had in Taurus would have been the last full moon of the last 360-day cycle, or the 6-ton cycle. You see what I'm saying? So that was a full closeout and encapsulation of not only the energy that we are walking out of, but the energy that we're also entering into. You see what I'm saying? Taurus, as we know, is very much a feminine, earth-based, zodiacal energy. You see what I'm saying? And when we cross compare that with the energy of Caban, we also see this strong presence of the earth force. Caban as an archetype is directly linked to the earth force energy. The day itself is said to be a very, fortunate day for earthquakes. You see what I'm saying? Today on Caban days, or during that full moon energy that we experience, those are the days that are most aligned with earthquakes. You see what I'm saying? The shifting of these tectonic plates that releases massive amounts of energy from the earth, which is otherwise a very slow moving, very tough and stubborn, type of energy. So that's what we're dealing with here. That's what we're trying to align with. What was that energy? What was it all about? What was it trying to encapsulate? What was it trying to speak to us about in regards to what we need to come to completion with in order to start this new cycle? All right. 12 Caban happened in the Kimi Trakana, right? Now we're in the Kawak Trakana. Kimi is all about surrender, death, sleep. You see what I'm saying? Everything that has to do with the quote unquote unconscious mind, so to speak, is what Kimi is all about. Now, Kawak is an initiation by fire. So Kawak represents an aspect of the final surrender. You see what I'm saying? That last push through the underworld. It represents the darkest hour of the night that we have to go through right before the sun begins to rise up. You see what I'm saying? Which would be encapsulated by the later degrees of Scorpio entering into Sagittarius season, right? So I want you all to just keep all of this in mind. You see what I'm saying? Mercury retrograde just happened in Scorpio, directly opposed to, the full moon that is going on in Taurus, or that was going on in Taurus. All of these things are happening. Saturn is in Capricorn, Pluto's in Capricorn. Really keep all of these things in mind as we travel forward with this particular aura alignment and everything that it has to offer. All right. So I do want to go to my handy dandy notes and quickly read off to you some of the major qualities that are associated with not only the harmonic tone 12, but also with the archetype of Caban. I also want to kind of go through and set up a picture for you, a living, I guess, conceptual framework of how all of these energies are working toward one another or working with one another. You see what I'm saying? So let's get into it. 12 is the harmonic tone of complex stability and understanding. Qualities that are most directly associated with the harmonic tone 12 deal with patterns that connect, right? So patterns that connect, retrospection and introspection, stability and expansion, the greater constellation of self, and then applied knowledge. Caban, like I said, is the earth force and is also earthquakes. The qualities most associated with Caban are going to be synergy, synchronicity, knowledge and logic, right? And also clue tracking, right? Clue tracking. I said clue tracking at 11:11, so that's going to be a real important part. So, in order for us to really understand 12 Caban, we first have to understand, well, what the hell is complex stability? What is the harmonic tone 12 all about? Because that's going to set the base foundation, the basic ground notes for the symphony that we're composing, right? So when we want to understand complex stability, right, since complex stability is about understanding, we have to first kind of delve into what is a complex, right? So a complex is a psychoanalytical term. You can find it heavily laced throughout the different works of Carl Jung, you see what I'm saying, and his branch of psychology, which was deeply invested in the concepts of the collective unconscious, the personal unconscious, and the conscious mind. You see what I'm saying? Deeply and intimately linked with the concepts of archetypes and the fact that the collective human unconscious mind has a specific set of symbols that it uses to communicate primordial ideas that seem to be present throughout all cultures. All right. So when we're studying a complex, we have to understand that a complex is a related group of emotionally significant ideas that are completely or partially repressed and that cause psychic conflict, leading to abnormal mental states or behavior. I want you to understand that a complex is ultimately groups of different psychological structures that you build up that are all centered and themed around a common idea. What we would call in the Jungian psychoanalytical strain of psychology, we would call those the archetypes. So the archetypes are these basic primordial energies that are present in all of human existence, right? That are present in all of human psyche. Complexes would be different structures, different emotional structures that exist within our personal subconscious mind or personal unconscious mind that are directly related to not only the archetype, but are directly related emotionally to one another. We all suffer from complexes because we all have emotional history. We all have psychological history. There are things that we have been through, right? Excuse me. There are things that we have been through that ultimately shapes and informs and determines the way in which we move forward in life, right? Most of the time, we're completely unaware of these complexes because, once again, they're part of not only the personal but the collective unconscious mind. So you're not going to have too many chances to see these things directly, right? So what I want you to understand about complexes is that one of the few ways that you actually can become conscious of a complex is by analyzing your triggers. And this is where the aspects of patterns that connect, retrospection, introspection, and greater constellation that are also a part of the 12 harmonic tone become very important, right? Because ultimately, what you're looking at with a trigger, right, is a star, a single star within a constellation. A constellation is usually made up of the brightest stars within a specific region of the sky. So, what I want you to understand is that a complex, in terms of the psychological aspect, is no different than a constellation. It is a group of seemingly independent bodies that are linked to one another through invisible or subconscious or unconscious connections, emotional connections. When you look up at the stars, do you actually see the lines that connect all the different stars in Taurus and Scorpio? No, those lines were projected up there to show a certain connection that is honestly invisible to the naked eye. It's something that can only be seen with your higher vision. So this is where the introspection and the retrospection comes in, because if we are not actively working toward being able to see how all of these different stars, all of these different emotionally charged reactions that possess us, this isn't just me saying this. This is a part of the Jungian definition of a complex. A complex, once you are triggered by a certain complex, right, you are actually taken over. Complexes have the ability to override your conscious ego. They have more power than the conscious mind, so they will override, possess you, and force you into a certain pattern of behaviors. Right? This is what triggers are all about. Triggers get you to react from a very unconscious space. You don't know why you're hurt. You just know that you're hurt. You don't know why you're reacting or what you're really reacting to. You're just reacting out of frustration, out of anger, out of sadness, out of sorrow. There's many different complexes. You got the hero complex, the savior complex, Napoleon complex. You know what I'm saying? You got the father complex, the mother complex. You got a lot of different. Hold on. Woo. Whew. Oh my god. Sometimes I'll be thinking these goddamn allergies is a complex trying to possess my dumb ass. Alright, anywho. We have all of these different complexes, basically, that can make themselves present, that can make themselves manifest, that are all in the subconscious mind. Humans are filled with complexes. Shit, I'm so sorry. Humans are filled with complexes. And there's a plethora of different complexes that can ultimately play into your conscious patterning. You see what I'm saying? Understand that a complex is based on not only the history, but a repeated mechanism of dealing with these psychological traumas, these psychological pains. Right? Not all complexes are bad, not all complexes are painful, but all complexes do have the ability to shape your conscious behavior from a very unconscious space if you are not doing the proper work to not only recognize your triggers, but to analyze those triggers and diffuse those triggers so that way you can stop blowing up in unhealthy ways, right? So this is where it becomes very important for you to recognize the greater constellation. Each one of these individual triggers, each one of these individual things that you're ultimately charged up about, yes, they may look like they're all a part of separate issues, but trust me when I say you have yet to go under the ground, under the earth, into the unconscious mind to see all of the different subtle bridges of energy that are linking all of these stars together in order to create a living picture of your connection to a specific archetype, right? So when we say Taurus, yes, we see the stars and all right, boom, you draw them together and maybe they kind of sort of look like a bull, maybe. But ultimately, Taurus is all about our connection with the Divine Mother in the material sense, the one who provides the milk. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with our connection to our mother and how we look at her. You see what I'm saying? We're dealing with a very specific aspect of our connection to the earth. It's symbolized by the bull because that's the image that the archetype itself that is within the collective unconsciousness is using or giving to us in order to explain itself. Now, our reaction to that symbol tells us how it is triggering us, and it tells us the kind of complex that we have in relationship to that archetype. It tells us the kind of structures that we are building up consciously in regards to that archetype. So here's the archetype or the open field of sexuality. Sexuality is not good, it's not evil, it's just an open field that you can build whatever the fuck you want to build on top of that. So let's say you build up, let's say, you're young and you get molested, right? That's gonna build up certain structures on that open field of sexuality. That's gonna build up certain structures on that open terrain of sexuality. You see what I'm saying? Because that building is there, right? It's almost like a university that you're trying to start up, right? Because each one of these different buildings serves a different purpose, but the overall university specializes in a specific set of lessons. Earth itself is a university. Earth itself is a blank canvas. We come here and we build up our own complexes. We have our own experiences. We create our own history. And it's not just the local history of this one lifetime. It's everything in your DNA that is built up around you. All of these archetypes have different buildings built up on top of them. And what you don't realize is that if you are not willing to go inside of these buildings to analyze what it is that is being created from within these different aspects of your own complex nature, you're not complicated. You're not too complicated to understand. You're just complex. So what you're missing is the fact that all of these things are interrelated with one another. So because we haven't realized those interrelated connections, because we have yet to actually go into these different buildings within our complex to explore these different triggers and where they actually got their foundation from, where they started from, they continue to grow, they continue to manifest, they continue to spread and take over the entire environment to the point where there needs to be a massive earthquake with which to shake up, shift, and crumble some of these very faulty complexes that we have. Savior complex, narcissist complex, superiority complex, inferiority complex, abandonment complex. You see what I'm saying? All of these different complexes, all of these different related emotional events. You see what I'm saying? So because you were sexually abused, that may change the way in which you view sexuality. And now anytime you hear certain words or anytime a certain energy presents itself, you react in a certain way where you don't even know how to control it. You see what I'm saying? But because you've also been repressing the original memory that started to build up that trigger, right? You ultimately don't even know where to go to deal with it. You don't even know where it's coming from. You don't even know how to diffuse it because you don't know where the fuck it is anymore. It's now in the vast ocean of the unconscious mind. So this is where I'm now giving you the opportunity to really see the greater constellation, not to just look at individual triggers as isolated events in a static universe. No, 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 no. I want you to look at them as interconnected constellations, interconnected webs, interconnected foundational structures of how you view and act within your conscious reality. These complexes are shaping the patterns that you are using to live your day-to-day life. These are your habits. These are your routines. And until you begin to analyze why the hell you even do the shit you do, until you begin to shake the earth on that process, you will continue to be what is essentially a slave to your lesser impulses, to your unconscious desires, to your unconscious motivations, to your unconscious programs, to your unconscious trigger. You're pretty much just going to be the walking dead. So 12 is complex stability, the understanding that all things are interwoven in the dance of yin and yang. All parts make up the greater whole. Once you analyze your triggers and you begin to ask, well, where the fuck is this coming from? When the fuck did this start? Who the fuck is this person that I'm even turning into when I'm triggered? Because mind you, just like I said, in the psychological aspect of this word, a trigger is no different than being possessed by an entity that is completely different than your normal base state of function. While you are under the control of the complex, you are moving in a completely unconscious fashion. It's no different than a zombie. It is no different than a zombie. So we have to begin to see that it is only through an active engagement process with our unconscious mind, an active engagement process with retrospection, regression, introspection, really self-reflecting on who we are, what we are, where we came from, how we got here, all of those different things that lead up, and once again, not just locally. It's not just this one lifetime. You have to be willing to step back deeper and deeper and deeper into the unconscious mind, deeper and deeper and deeper into your bloodline, to see how these patterns have been repeating themselves over and over and over and over again. And once you realize that there is a pattern at play, you will be able to step back from the pattern and see how it's actually shaping and forming a larger picture. So retrospection and introspection is how we as humans can recognize the complex subconscious patterns that shape the play of our lives. Through this, we expand our knowledge. Through the analyzing of these different triggers, we begin to see who and what the fuck we are. We begin to understand, oh shit, this thing that I thought that I was is not me. It's simply a pattern that I picked up in order to continue to survive in this reality. Because of the way that I was dealt with sexually at a very young age, now I'm doing X, Y, and Z. It led me to do this. It led me to become this. It led me to start doing like this and this and that and this and that. I didn't realize all of these things were interconnected with one another. But now that I know the base theme that they are all centered on, I can shake the world. I can shake the foundations of how I connect with the archetype itself, thus destroying the complex that I built on top of it, in order to remove all of the dissonant aspects of the structure, in order to remove all of the dissonant frequencies, in order to remove all of the shaky buildings, in order to remove all the dead weight, so that way I can continue to build a new city, a new university, a new way of which I pattern and condition myself to experience conscious reality, a new way in which I pattern and condition myself to react to certain things, the new way I condition and pattern myself to engage in certain energies and certain frequencies and certain thought forms. And this is what we're doing. We're destroying the complex in order to rebuild. But you don't want to be inside of any of those buildings as you're trying to detonate them and demolish them. You need to be able to step outside of all of those buildings. Yes, do your proper inspection of each one of these buildings. But what you don't want to do is jump ahead of the gun and blow the building up while you're still inside the shit. You want to make sure that you've accurately detailed the shit and that you've stepped away from it with a full understanding, with a full knowledge and wisdom of, all right, this is how this part was structured. It was connected to this through this. These pipes went here. You have to understand the ins and outs of what you actually dealt with, which means you're going to have to revisit these energies, which means you're going to have to get into a habit of triggering the fuck out of yourself. You're going to have to get into the habit of shaking your own earth. You're going to have to, and mind you, these aren't even really earthquakes. These are more so heartquakes. You're going to have to fucking punch yourself in the chest. You're going to have to crack through this thing. Because that's where all of that energy is stored. That's where the inner child lives. And the inner child is the one that has to process all of the more material chakra energy. In terms of your root, your sacral, your solar plexus. That's more the earthly chakras. The more spiritual chakras go from the throat up. So this is what we're trying to do. Understand that these complexes, these triggers, are but stars in a constellation. They're all interrelated to one another. And when you realize and when you connect the dots, when you connect the pattern, you're going to see an even bigger picture of, wow, this is actually what my issue is. It's not this or this or this little insignificant thing or this petty shit over here or what this motherfucker said. It's this big fucking elephant in the room that I'm looking at. It's not just about the star Sirius. Nigga, it's about all of Canis Major. It's not just about the Pleiades. It's about all of Taurus. You see what I'm saying? You get to see the bigger picture, and it stops you from losing your mind, losing your stability, losing your footing over the small petty shit. And then here's the even crazier part now. If you're surrounded by other people's thoughts and influence, please understand that that's other people's light. And the more light you add at night, the more it pollutes the sky and the less of the stars that you can see. But if you were to go into the Grand Canyon at night, where there are no stars, where you're away from human or the collective human consciousness, you begin to see even more stars. You can see the entire galactic belt. So when you really step away from everyone else's complexes, that's to keep y'all, that's to make sure y'all hear with me right now. But when you really step away from other people's emotional complexes, when you step away from their psychological turmoil, you actually get a chance to more clearly reflect on your own shit. We are constellations, the combinations of many points of light, which are just different aspects of consciousness, that forms a symbolic image of who we are on an archetypal level. Who are you in relationship to the collective unconscious? Who are you trying to be? What function are you trying to serve out here? This is the issue. This is what the Zolkin seeks to understand. It's all about a discussion between different archetypes and the complexes they create together with one another. Caban is one archetype. It has a complex relationship to other archetypes based on the feminine aspect, the masculine aspect, the past aspect, the future aspect. You see what I'm saying? It also has a trikana sign, like I said, the Kimi energy. So the relationship between death and the earth force, the relationship between the unconscious mind and the earth force is the harmonic tone 12. It's the complex stability that it actually takes to create life on earth. You understand that it's because of all of the things underground. You see what I'm saying? It's because of all the things in the unconscious mind. It's because of the core of the earth and the magnetic field that it is generating around the earth that we can even have this conscious experience here on the surface. So it's the heart of the earth that's actually creating the earth. It's the core of the earth that's creating the earth. It's shaping and molding, creating a barrier as to what can get in and what can't get in. This is the earth. This is the core of the earth that we're dealing with here. So we have to understand that there is a complex stability between the core of our being, right, and what we see when we look up into the sky, into that magnetic field, into that awareness. We see a bunch of different complexes of stars. Understand that all of those different stars in the night sky have a direct connection to different focus points of neuromelanin in your brain. So, is there really a reality out there? Or is this all us projecting it and it's reflecting back? I guess that's why introspection and retrospection is important, because this whole entire reality is a mirror for you to sit and look at yourself and understand who and what the fuck you are, but understanding who and what the fuck you're not. You build up these complexes of emotions based on falsehoods. You see what I'm saying? Illusions, misconceptions, misdirections, miseducations, really, in terms of who the I is, of who's really in charge of this conscious experience. And this is where I now need to say, once again, that a complex is a related group of emotionally significant ideas. Your ego, as Ramaj Johnson, or insert your name here, is a related group of emotionally significant ideas that are completely or partially repressed. It's a bunch of ideas that were told to you and a bunch of experiences that you've had through your history related to the concept of Ramaj Johnson, related to the concept of whatever the hell your name is. Understand that a lot of the different psychological turmoil you're going through is based on the fact that you keep identifying yourself as Ramaj Johnson, or whatever the fuck your name is. You see what I'm saying? Ramaj Johnson has a certain built up amount of complexes. There's a certain amount of emotional experiences that I have gone through in relationship to an entity named Ramaj Johnson. Right? And when certain psychological things are triggered, I begin to act out the role of Ramaj Johnson. But then when other psychological things are triggered, I act out the role of Daddy Shiva. Daddy Shiva is a complex that I created that has a certain set of emotional connections, different emotional energies linked to it. These are all complexes, and until we start to analyze the complex nature of who we are, Until we start to analyze the multidimensional nature of who we are, we'll never get in touch with the greater constellation. We'll never be able to tap back into our own cosmic power by seeing ourselves not only as the star, but as the background energy that even projects the stars into being. That's what we're going with there. Now let's take this back to Caban, right? Because synergy and synchronicity are very important for understanding how we are going to decode certain complexes. Because understand that all of these different triggers, all of these different hot spots in the infinite ocean of your unconscious mind, all of these different light source points, they're all working together in a synergistic fashion. Now, synergy just implies that these different points of energy, all right, are working together harmoniously. That does not mean that they have to work together harmoniously for your benefit. They can work together harmoniously to fuck you up even further. You have to understand the synergistic nature. Understand that these things are working together with one another, right? And understand that the only way you are going to really be able to analyze the pattern, the algorithm, the code with which they are using to synergize these different emotional hotspots, right, is by clue tracking. You have to ask, where the fuck is this coming from? What was the first moment that I felt this thing? Why do I keep dating these type of people? Why do I keep having this type of experience? You have to look for the underarching theme, not the overarching theme. No. The underarching theme. What is the energy that seems to be lying at the baseline of all of these different things that seem to trigger you? See the connection. See how they're synchronized. See how they're synergized. See how they're all working together. Because until you understand how they're working together, you won't know how to shake the structure in order to get it to collapse in on itself. Caban is an earthquake that is coming from the core of the planet. That's what the full moon was all about. It was an earthquake that rose up from the core, from the very depths, from the deepest aspects, from the baseline. There we go. It rose up from the baseline. And it's now shaking up your heart. It's shaking the table. And now everything that was not in its true integrity, everything that did not have the structural capabilities with which to truly stand, that which was illusory, that which was shaky from the jump. Once again, that which did not have integrity crumbles. It crumbles away. It falls off. So understand that you have to center your awareness within the core of self. These are not earthquakes. These are heartquakes. These are different energies that are rising up out of the core of your being to now be addressed. They're going to shake shit up until you address it. These gifts are being made available to you directly through the electromagnetic forces of the earth. Like I said, it's the core of the earth that creates the electromagnetic field or sheath, the ionosphere, the magnetosphere, all that shit. It's the core of the earth that allows all of this to exist. So if we tap back into the core of the earth, we'll be able to tap back into that unconscious space, but do it in a grounded manner that allows us to comfortably shake these complexes and remove the dissonant structures, to remove the dissonant frequency, so that we can begin to build up a new version of ourselves, a new conscious version of ourselves that is more in line with our vision. You see what I'm saying? That's more in line with our natural design. You have to allow the larger pattern to emerge. So you can't just walk into a building, only look at the first floor, and then jump to the conclusion. No, you have to allow the whole, you got to take a tour. Don't be so quick to run away from these triggers, because the only thing that's common amongst all of these different triggers is you. These are your problems to deal with, no one else's. So allow yourself to really see the whole picture that you've painted. Don't be scared now. Don't be trying to run now. Don't be trying. No, because you were comfortable making this bed. So now you're going to lay in it. Center your awareness. Ground yourself first. This is why Janae Aiko made the trigger protection mantra. Calm down. The earth energy is very slow to move. It takes thousands of years. You see what I'm saying? For the energy to build up on a fault line in order for it to snap and release and create an earthquake. But understand that once you snap and release, there needs to be a calm down. You can't just keep shaking and shaking and shaking. Eventually, you're going to have to let that energy dissipate. You're going to have to center yourself now. In order for you to really be able to make the most of this energy that's coming forward. Once you can see the larger pattern, it'll become very easy in terms of fixing it and knowing what to do in order to make the necessary changes. Remember the choice that you made to come to Earth at this time by using synchronicity and clue tracking to find the why behind the what. Understand that all of this was well timed. All of this is well synchronized. These triggers that are coming up right now are coming up for a very specific reason. They're clues for you to trace your steps backwards. They are clues for you to trace your steps backwards so that way you can find the root cause, the baseline of these complexes, these vastly enormous structures that you built up. Once you get to the root of it, you can uproot it and begin to heal from it. You can reshape these dissonant structures. You can turn what was once metal skyscrapers into crystal pyramids. You can do that. You can get these things to align to your natural design instead of allowing these dissonant frequencies that can't stand up to the natural forces that are present within you, right? So you have to suppress them. You have to try to, no, that's not the way. That's not the way to do this. So, synchronicity and clue tracking, deja vu is a part of synchronicity. All of these different signs, these different signals, these different symbols, they're all a part of the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind communicating to you different ways that you can begin to deal with these triggers, with these archetypes. So that way you can heal them. That way you can actually move forward. That way you can actually get something done. That's what this is about. So boom. Earth is the only university that could provide you with the proper knowledge needed for you to ground the totality of your star power into your body. Earth is the only place you could do this work. Earth is the only university complex that has all of the available triggers that you need in order to properly self-reflect on who and what the fuck you are, so that way you could become your natural star power. You don't have all of this melanin for fucking nothing. This is star power. This is about reawakening and reigniting that star. These aren't earthquakes. These are heartquakes. We're trying to turn the earth back into the heart so that we can turn the heart into the sun and the sun into our true star power. That's what this is all about now. Earth is the only universe or university that can provide you with this experience, with these triggers, for you to begin to analyze yourself, for you to begin to reflect on yourself and ask, why am I doing that? Why do I keep falling into these same patterns? It's not about just unconsciously repeating these same patterns over again. It's not just about cycling through the 12 zodiac over and over and over and over and over and over and over again and coming back to complain about how Geminis fucking suck. That's not it. You need to ask why the fuck you don't like Gemini so goddamn much. You might start to understand why you're so triggered by them. This is what astrology should be about. Analyzing these different triggers, because the constellations are already set for you. You don't even have to go too far to think about, oh, what is this and what is that, and oh shit, what does this star connect to and what is this star? They already lined everything up for you. They lined it all up for you and told you what archetypes connect to what entities, what symbols go with what chakras go with what body parts go with what. You can figure this all out if you're just willing to trace the clues, if you're just willing to follow the clues that were already given. This is the only place that has all of these different archetypes in this fashion. So understand that every time you look up at the night sky, you're not just looking at a bunch of stars. You're looking at all of the different complex structures in your own unconscious mind that are shaping and influencing the way in which you think consciously. Your connection, your specific angle of perception in relationship to these specific archetypal structures that exist in the night sky, but also are a projection of what the fuck is going on inside your own holographic ass brain, right? That's what we're ultimately trying to analyze and what we're trying to deal with here. This is the place where you come to deal with all of those things. The earthquake energy is a way to shake up your pre-existing complexes, destroying that which is not directly connected to the core of who you are. If it's not directly connected to the core of who you are, trust me, it will not last long. If it is not connected to directly to your heart, when that bitch starts shaking, all that dead shit that has been covered in, it's gonna fall off. Anything that's not cemented down, anything that's not bolted down to the core, to the truth, to the integrity, to the wholeness of who you are, oh, it's gone. It's gone. It's gonna fall right the fuck off. And this is what I want to bring to you all. Be willing to shake shit up. Be willing to trigger yourself. Stop being so fucking comfortable. It's time for a natural disaster. You need it. A disaster is going against the stars. Disaster means going against the will of the stars. So if the stars are the constellations that are the complexes that are ultimately causing the triggers and all of the abnormal behaviors, if the stars are the constellations that are ultimately possessing your consciousness, then it's about time we cause a natural disaster. It's about time you start breaking away from those complexes. You start breaking away from those goddamn stars and start really dealing with the archetypal nature of where the issues are coming from. So that way you can stop being mad at fucking Geminis and start dealing with your issue with your own inner child. Because that's what Gemini is. Gemini is the twins. It's your relationship to your inner child. That's why you hate them niggas. You think they goofy, you think they childish, you think they play too much. That's your issues with your own inner child. That has nothing to do with them. They are just a reflection of a complex that you have within yourself. And it's the fact that you refuse to acknowledge where that trigger is coming from that keeps getting you triggered. So understand that as you begin to shake shit up, as you begin to really, shoot at your own heart, shoot at your own triggers, you begin to pull at your own shit. Everything that is not cemented to the natural core of who you are, everything that is against your star power, everything that has been a disaster to you is going to clear itself up. This is Kawa. This is the final storm. After this, the sky is going to be clear. It's going to be a whole new space. Once you get all of this last shit out, once this final storm rolls through, understand that the water and the flooding is going to reset the entire landscape. It's going to wash away all of those old complexes. It's going to wash away all of those old emotional structures that you've been building your life on, that have been keeping you human for the most part, actually. That's the bigger thing. Fuck all this human conversation. I'm trying to get you niggas into superpowers now. This is the only way. We have to shake up the complexes, because these are ultimately the cages. All of these complexes form a very unique cage with which to lock down your power through psychological possession and manipulation. This whole matrix, nigga, this whole matrix is a lockdown code. All of these different stars, all of these different constellations, so to speak, not even the stars, the constellations that they form together, the planets that are shifting through all of these different stellar positions. Those are your wardens. Those are your guards. Those are the ones keeping you locked down in these repetitive cycles. Those are the ones trying to keep you unaware of these repetitive cycles, because the minute you notice the pattern, the minute you catch on to the code, you can free yourself, because you can begin to start rewriting the code. Once you understand the language of the unconscious mind, once you understand that it is programmed by symbols, trauma, and repetition, you can begin to utilize and create technologies and techniques, which is applying the knowledge in order to, once you understand knowledge, you can apply it. You can use it. So once you understand, oh shit, symbols, trauma, repetition, these are the things that shape and mold the personal unconscious, and ultimately shape and mold the collective unconscious. Signs, symbols, sigils, synchronicities. These are the things that the subconscious mind, the unconscious mind, uses to communicate. Now you can begin to communicate with it. Now you can begin to shape and mold your own unconscious awareness, which ultimately then begins to shape and mold in a very metaphysical or beyond physical or beyond physics. These are the things that begin to shape your conscious reality in a very metaphysical way. It looks like magic. It looks like magic because I'm not doing anything on the surface. Everything I'm doing is below the surface in the underworld, so you can't see it, but yet it's creating massive shifts and massive changes in the world around me. It's not magic, it's metaphysics. I'm not subject to the laws of this dimension because I'm using the laws of higher dimensions to affect this dimension. That's what we're dealing with here. And that's what I want to give you all. Chase down these triggers. Begin to shake yourself up. Begin to shake yourself down for more information as to where the heck, because mind you, your body remembers. This is why I said Caban is very earth force. Caban is about the body. Taurus is about the body. Your body has an innate wisdom. Everything that you've experienced in terms of physical and emotional and different mental traumas and psychological pains and different programs, they're all stored in your body. Your body remembers. This is why I said it's not just an earthquake, it's a heartquake. You now have to shake up all of these different chakras in order to get the energy that they've been holding on to crack open and release, so that way you can begin to see, all right, this is where that complex comes from. And now that I know why I have this savior complex, I can diffuse it and let it the fuck go. Or I can dismantle the aspects of it that are dangerous to me, you see what I'm saying, or that are detrimental to me, so that way I can build up more aspects of this savior complex that benefit me. Because not all, like I said, not all complexes are bad. And sometimes you can make a bad complex good just based on how you build the structure up. The type of architecture you use can make a structure like narcissism work for you, especially if you're someone that might be empathic, someone that's too overly focused on other people's feelings and curtailing their own behavior, so that way they don't have to deal with other people's feelings. You might be able to take narcissism and say, yo, you know what? Instead of being so concerned with everyone else's feelings and how they affect me, I'm just going to be concerned about me. I'm going to create a healthy division between what other people feel and what I feel. I'm going to create a healthy boundary between what other people feel and what I feel, so that way I don't have to continue to process other people's emotions for them, because that's not my job and that's not my place. That's no different than me taking their test for them. They will never learn anything from that. Yes, they may get a good grade on that test, but ultimately in the long run it does them no good, because they will not have learned the lesson that they needed to learn. So this is how you can take something like narcissism and make it work for you, depending on the type of relationship you have to that archetype, to that energy. It's all about relating to the energy properly. And this is why I said, don't just jump to conclusions. Allow the full picture to paint itself out. See the entire thing. Don't just, oh, all right, well, I shook this up and, well, I'm tired of dealing with this, so I'm done. And I already, no, go through the entire emotion. Deal with all of it. Keep pressing forward. Will, as a psychoanalytical concept, will is all about your determination to reduce the dissonant frequencies that exist between your left and right hemisphere. It's all about bridging the gap. It's all about getting these things to connect. Not only having the necessary logical faculties that you need to express your emotions, but also having the necessary logical faculties to decipher and discipline and discern between emotions that are yours, that are not yours, that have been programmed into you, that have nothing to do with your natural self. This is about cutting away and pruning away. You see what I'm saying? This is about a shift in the continents, a shift in the plates, shifting these things around so that way the structure actually makes sense. It's like a Rubik's Cube. Think about this. It's like a Rubik's Cube. You're all twisted up in all type of 50 different fucking ways and you don't know how the fuck you're gonna get this shit back into its proper order. But understand that each one of these blocks has a complex mathematical relationship to the other one. So once you figure out the pattern, you can my nigga, you can unscramble the fucking thing with your eyes closed. You don't even need to look at it. Just based on the patterns that you'll realize, you'll be able to just so ever so gracefully and quickly dive into a fucking trauma, analyze where that trauma came from. You see what I'm saying? Analyze whether or not it's actually serving you any good. Keep the parts that are serving you good, throw away and surrender the rest of it, sacrifice the rest of it as an offering to propel the new seeds, the new gems that you've just gotten from the underworld into multiplying in their power, their wealth, and their worth. This is what Caban offers. So understand that the body, the human body, is a grounding point for all of these different emotions. The root chakra, according to the ancient Vedic perspective, the ancient Hindu perspective, is where you deal with the densest, heaviest, you see what I'm saying, most grave issues. These are the things that are ultimately holding you down and weighing you down the most. So when we get into our earth chakra, when we get into our root chakra, and we begin to deal with these traumas that happen to us from the ages of 0 to 7, right? When we get into our lower chakras, we begin to deal with these traumas that have ultimately programmed a complex that we call our ego, that we call our personal mask. When we get to analyze all of that and we get to the root source of where all of this shit that we've created for ourselves, all of this turmoil that we've created for ourselves stems from, this is when you get the opportunity to really release it, to let it go, and to ultimately open yourself up for more of your natural power. Understand that your natural powers and your natural abilities are also in the unconscious mind, but because you've been pushing and piling all of this extra shit on top of it, you now have to begin the process of digging all of that stuff back up. You're grave robbing right now. You're digging up all of these old skeletons to get to the fucking buried treasure. We're going from the vulture to the owl energy. We're going from grave robbing and really digging into all these different skeletons in the closet to now a level of prosperity and wisdom that comes with truly seeing yourself as your crystalline, perfected, adamantine body. The island of jewels, the island of gems. Seeing yourself as that perfected crystalline soul being, seeing yourself as the diamond that has now been taken out of the rough, and it has been cleaned, it has been polished, it has been cut, it has been honed and refined into Solomon's ring. You see what I'm saying? To now where you put that on and you are now in full and total control of your unconscious, your subconscious, and your conscious faculties. This is the earthquake that is going to crack the shell and release the phoenix. This is what this earthquake was all about. Cracking the shell and releasing the phoenix from the egg. That's what the earth is. It's the shell for the phoenix. And it is not until we begin to crack through and shake up all of these different core issues, it's not until we get to the core of the issue and begin to shake it up that we are actually going to heal. So I want to now lead you into this here guided Reiki meditation. All right. I'd love for you all to take 3 very solid, very deep, very intentionful, meaningful breaths into your heart, into the core of your being. Breathe all the way down into your diaphragm. All right. So 1, inhale. Out through the mouth, exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. I want you to continue that breathing pattern. I want you to just focus on connecting with the magnetic field, the electromagnetic grids of the earth. If you want to take off your shoes, place your feet on the floor. If you want to just visualize laying in an open field somewhere on earth, you see what I'm saying? If you want to go outside right now even and actually begin to take in the energy of the natural environment around you. Just begin to connect and really ground yourself into the energy of the earth. Ground yourself into the energy of the root chakra. You see what I'm saying? Open up the heart, allow it to really allow your heart to drop, so to speak, into your root chakra and become one with that feeling. Hold space for yourself, stabilize, ground. I would like for all of you to just breathe and synchronize with one another. All right. I will now be opening up the distance Reiki healing symbol. So if you could all just hold space for me. Imagine yourself now descending deeper and deeper through the core of the earth. See yourself sinking through the crust into the mantle. See yourself grounding, connecting all the way down to the iron core of the planet. See yourself grounding, connecting through the soles of your feet into the central star of the earth. As you connect to the heart of the earth connects into you. I'll be sending you all the power symbol. This is to enliven and open up all of your energetic centers to receive the healing. mudra exercise. All right. So we're going to take our hands and we're going to form a triangular shape like this. Be sure to have all of your fingers touching if you can. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start at our root chakra. All right. And as we inhale, we're going to rise all the way up through the chakras to the crown. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring that down into the heart. We're going to take a nice little pause. And then we're going to inhale again. Go all the way to the top. Exhale and come back down to the heart. All right. So just follow along. And inhale. And while you're doing this, I just want you to see all of the different complexes. I want you to see all of those different emotionally charged reactions that you have. As you inhale, I want you to bring all of those things out of the subconscious, unconscious mind. I want you to raise them up to the surface, all the way to the top. And then as we bring them to the heart, I want you to expel them. I want you to shake the earth, create that crack that is necessary for those things to be released. I want you to surrender those energies. I want you to let them go. So as you breathe, inhale, really see those structures, see those foundations, see those things that can no longer support the weight of who it is that you are growing into. And as you exhale and come down, I want you to break open your heart and allow those things to shake and move. I want you to allow them to crumble, to spill forward, to spill out. This is the natural disaster that you've been looking for. Surrender to it. Feel and allow. As you do this, feel free to release any stagnant emotions as they will come up. Continue to inhale as we go up, and as we come down, we exhale. See those structures that no longer serve you. And as you breathe into your heart, as you breathe into the earth, shake and release those things from your very nature. Crack the shell, crack that egg, and let those things out. Rise from your ashes as a phoenix, reborn from all of those different traumas and complexes. Rise as a phoenix freed from its cage, a bird that has wings that are ready to fly. Do not rush. Do not force. Just as the earth-bending master Toph Beifong would say, you must sit and listen to the earth. Allow it to speak through you. Allow it to vibrate through you. Wait before you respond. Ground yourself before you respond. We have been placing too much responsibility on ourselves. Our complexes have made us hyper-reactive, hyper-responsive. It is now time that you become like the earth. Be slow to move, slow to act, slow to react. Make sure every step is well grounded, well placed, well balanced, well intentioned. as we inhale up, see the strengthening of your connection to the crystalline core of the earth. See your connection strengthening to the crystalline core of your soul. You are but a diamond in the rough. And as you inhale up, you are being purified and crystallized and released of all of the dirt, the mud, and we inhale up again. Slowly allow these things to be worked through. Let the tremors build. Each inhale increase the vibration, increase the resonance, amplify. Allow that rumbling to build. Allow that shaking to build from a small jitter to a massive upheaval, all the while staying centered and balanced in the core of your being. As the temple of the body releases all of its secrets, releases all of its traumas, remain in the Holy of Holies, remain in the center, remain in the most intimate part of your being. Stay with the God that you are. Allow yourself to watch dispassionately. Do not be drawn back into old emotional patterns. Release them, forgive them, allow them. Focus not on the past or the future, but focus on here. Focus on releasing them now. Focus on grounding yourself in the present moment. Focus on grounding yourself in the truth that only exists when you are here. Allow the complexity to become ever-expanding simplicity. See them not as separate points of light, but as one greater constellation, one greater story, one greater lesson for your healing, one greater gem for your collection of wealth and abundant experiences. Again, I remind you, stay centered, stay grounded. You are outside of these complexes. They are are not the end all, be all of your being. They are not the captain of this boat. Do not allow the emotional tide. Earthquakes are known for causing tsunamis, so don't allow the emotional tide to capsize the boat. You are perfectly equipped to navigate these seas. You are perfectly equipped to traverse this choppy water. Ground yourself. See the patterns in the waves. Finding this pattern helps you find your way back to shore, helps you find your way back to your grounding. Notice the direction of the currents, notice the direction of the wind. Connect yourself to the different energies of the earth, the different elements of the earth. Utilize them to stabilize. Address your own triggers. No one else can activate those triggers. Nothing outside of you can cause you to explode except for you. Look at these triggers, analyze them. What do they have to teach you about who and what you are? What patterns are they revealing about you that need to be healed? There is no more time for victims. There is no more time for villains. There is no more time for blame. There is no more time for shame. Ground yourself in your core and begin to release these complexes of abandonment, of depression, narcissism, superiority, the savior complex. Whatever it may be, whatever emotionally charged issues are most prevalent for you, release them now. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, give them back to the earth from whence they came. Connect now back to your stellar self, your star core. Who were you before all of these complexes were built? What are you in your most natural sense? This is what we aim to reawaken. This is what this earthquake seeks to push forward from out of the underworld. A crystal city in which all of your highest aspects are now made manifest here on earth. A crystal city in which all of the desires of your heart are now a part of your conscious experience. A crystal city in which you no longer have to doubt and question your connection to your most integral self. Connect now, ground, release. See the stars as nothing more than a reflection of what is going on in your heart. See what is going on in the earth as nothing more than a reflection of what is going on in your heart. Ground yourself in this core and act from this space of balanced judgment. Release all of those things that are not directly connected to the truth of who you are. Know that they are not. Know that they are not. Hold space in your heart now. Open yourself as an empty chalice. Now that you have poured forth the contents, the murky water, allow your cup to be filled with clean, fresh, new energy. Allow the natural spiral of your DNA to transmit and resonate a frequency of divine growth and health. Allow yourself to resonate with the frequency of the owl, that of prosperity, that of treasures being brought from the dark, that of abundance, that of wisdom and power and knowledge, and the knowledge of how to apply knowledge, how to use that which we have been given for our ultimate benefit. Hold space now. From this space, from your core, you have access to all of who you are, not just here and now. Understand that from this space, that from the heart, you have access to all of the ancestral knowledge, all of the ancestral wisdom, all of the ancestral technology. Open your heart and give yourself access. Open your heart and give yourself access. Open your heart and give yourself access. You are worthy. Ashe. You are worthy. Ashe. You are worthy. Ashe. May all the natural abilities, may all the natural talents, may all the natural powers, may all the natural gifts and graces of your bloodline be bestowed upon you now. You are worthy. Ashe. You are worthy. Ashe. May all the fear, the shame, the guilt, the anxiety, the depression, the anger, that has held you back, that has held you tame, that has held you hostage, now be released from you. You are free. Ashe. You are no longer a human having a spiritual experience. You are a soul having a human experience. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Let all that is not of the true self cease to be. Ashe. rest, relax, continue to breathe deeply, hold space for yourself, hold space for your ancestors. I want you to remember that you are much more than your earthly experiences. I want you to remember that you came here to deal with these triggers, to address these triggers, so that way you could regain and rebirth, revitalize and reinvigorate the powers that have been shut down, the powers that have been taken, the powers that have been repressed under the weight of these complexes. I want you to understand now that you are a God seed, that this earth is fertile, this ground is fertile, and that you have everything that you need, all of the codes, all of the directions, all of the plans, all of the information, the knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding necessary to manifest into your highest self. But that first involves surrendering to your most natural self. Connect back to this seed of power. See it for what it's worth. Allow it to evolve. Allow it to grow. You are not a human having a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. We are not humans being. We are spirits being human in an experience. Connect back with your spiritual essence. Ground it in your body. Allow the genetic codes of your body to begin to shift the way in which your body now encapsulates the true energy of your soul. Release these blockages. Release these hindrances. Release this dead weight and allow yourself to rise back into that which you already were. But at a higher octave. Take in and integrate the lessons. Take in and integrate the losses. Dissolve and disintegrate them down to their core purpose. Reduce them down to the concentrated gems. Keep only that which add value. Keep only that which adds value to who you are. Keep that which adorns and exalts and accentuates that spiritual being, that God seed at the core. Build a crystalline fortress of immense abundance around that seed. Allow it to grow within and around and through that space. See yourself now. Stretching, expanding, connecting to greater levels of power, greater levels of energy, beyond this singular star that you see as yourself, here and now. Make yourself aware of the greater realities, the ever-expanding sea of now that is present for you, and claim that which is naturally yours. Claim your birthright. Release these complexes that have ultimately been a labyrinth for the Minotaur. that have only been a fence, a cage for the bull. Free yourself from these mental traps. Free yourself from these emotional traps. Free yourself from these psychological cycles that are repeated and repeated and repeated with no discernible results of benefit. Release yourself from the insanity. Remember that at all times you are dominant. You no longer have to submit to your triggers. They are no longer in control of you. You no longer have to submit to the pain, to the hurt, to the fear, to the guilt. They are no longer in control. Now you are in control. Take your accountability. Take your responsibility. Take your power. And move forward knowing that at all times you are being supported by a vast network. Ashe. Feel the ground under your feet as it begins to stabilize. As the final remnants of your new crystal city have risen out of the earth. As the storm begins to pass and all begins to settle back into its baseline, into its new baseline. See the rising of the sun in the east and allow it to shine onto your crystal city, your new crystal complex. Allow it to shine as a reminder that this is a new space for you to grow, for you to develop in, a new space for you to see the full potential of who you are beyond the limited patterns that you were conditioned to cycle within. See yourself as more than just the 12 zodiac signs. See yourself as more than just the 7 planets. See yourself as more than just your 7 chakras. See yourself as more than just the 3 and 4 dimensional space that we live in. Allow the larger image to emerge. Allow the larger constellation to make its connection with you. Add yourself as a star to a greater collective work. Hold those images in your mind as I now ground and complete this Reiki healing session. Yeah, the air is definitely different now. Now my allergies acting crazy the minute I want to ground this shit. The climate is shifting, y'all. The climate is shifting. Ah, shit. Slowly begin to raise yourself back up. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Slowly begin to come back into full conscious awareness of your body, starting at the soles of your feet and moving upward. As you raise yourself back up into your full consciousness, do not sever that deep connection that we created with the earth. Allow that to continue to feed you. Solidify, stabilize, ground that connection to the core of the earth, and allow it to give you the ultimate support that you need for all of your journeys here on this blue marble. Understand that the core of your heart and the core of the earth all connect back to the core of our galaxy. Understand that you are being supported by a vast network of star power. You are never alone, you are just all one. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. All right. Wake niggas up. Y'all gonna hate this. All right, so that is the first or alignment Reiki healing session 12 Caban with your boy Daddy Shiva. I'm going to pull a card. Let that be the ending point of this. Kind of give us something to focus on as we all leave. Kind of give us a nice little snapshot of the energy that we've created together. Of course, if you all have any questions, comments, concerns, anything that you'd like to ask, anything that you'd like to add, anything you want to say, now's the time. Feel free. Of course, it's not just for me, it's also for the people that are going to be watching this that aren't here live. Questions they might have or questions you might have. Of course, everything is a synchronicity, so don't hesitate. I'll be back. You can rewatch this 1,000 times. Like I said, the way the Zolkin sets up time, It allows you to spiral forward and spiral backward as if all time is right now, because all time is right now. They don't have a linear system of time, it's cyclic. So it's all about just accessing certain cycles based on understanding the energies that were prevalent within those cycles. That's about it. So you have a free reign to access this. All of you have free reign to access this. I want it to be an ever growing, ever expanding wellspring of energy that you all can come back to and utilize for your own healing. So please feel free to utilize this as much as you need to. Also, feel free to continue to use that mudra. Please utilize all the information, take notes, like set up your own meditation styles. You know what I'm saying? Utilize the techniques that I just showed you for your own benefit. All of that shit is Reiki techniques. You see what I'm saying? I put you on the low. So set up your space and do what you need to do. Boom. Number 49, cutting through. Number 49, cutting through. It's all about cutting through past karma. But let me read it to you because, of course, I love niggas that like to read. Cutting through bears number 49, signifying the full resolution of the path of self, the occult experiencing linking this world to the next. The occult experience that links this world to the next. According to the classification of elements, this is a water card. From the waters at the base of this card, there emerges a single hand which holds aloft a rope noose with one male and one female terminal, which is symbolically used in tantric rites for the binding of enemies. From out of the clear sky of pure consciousness, within which clouds of thought forms evolve, two hands appear bearing choppers. These represent the twofold nature of discriminating wisdom, which is the wisdom and the means, cutting through the bonds of the cycles of death and rebirth. This whole picture thus represents the way in which the unconscious mind should be searched for the pure motivations within. This whole picture thus represents the way in which the unconscious mind should be searched for the pure motivation within. The divinatory meaning. Act in a decisive and conclusive manner upon all problems of thought which inhibit clarity. Use wisdom, right thinking, and means, right action, to achieve liberation from any such problems, and do not be afraid to eliminate concepts which are without any practical value. When located at the base in the Tree of Life chart, it shows a severing with past karma, a detachment from habitual traps. At the heart, it indicates a very positive, decisive situation, the fruit of discriminating wisdom. While at the throat, it foretells of psychic exorcism. And mind you, Taurus is the throat chakra, so this was a psychic exorcism. Okay. Poo-boo-boo. If in relation to a problem, it indicates resolution and the attainment of goals. So we just cut through it, y'all. We just cut through the shit. Ashe, keep coming back. It's going to be a long process. This isn't done in one sitting. Come back. I wanted to give y'all the wisdom, but I had to give y'all the means. I had to give y'all a way to actually deal with this shit. I had to show you what to think about, show you how to integrate this shit, show you why it's so important. So it wasn't just about giving you a message and then walking away. I had to give you a technique. I had to give you that mudra right there. That is Caban. That is the grounding. Relax. Take your time. Wait. Sleep on things more. Don't be so quick to respond. I want y'all to count to 20. Right? I want y'all to count to 20. before you answer anything, before you react to anything. Count to 20 first. And see if you actually really care as much as your first mind, your ego would lead you to believe. All right? At the bottom of the deck, number 64, last laugh. I haven't seen this card in forever. The future is now. The future is now. Because you've taken the decisive step to cut away from the past, the future is now, and you shall have that last laugh. What parts of yourself are you going to cut away? Because that's that chopper, ain't it? What parts of yourself are you going to cut away in order to free your spirit, in order to free your true being? What aspects of your ego, your consciousness, your intellect, what aspects of your head need to be cut the fuck off in order for you to free your spirit and truly begin to step back into the real position of the Joker, the one who is at the center of all cycles, yet completely unaffected by them. This is the core. Your future is now. I want to say Ashe yet again to all of the ancestors known and unknown, to all of my ancestors known and unknown, to all of my gods known and unknown, to all of your gods known and unknown. One time for my niggas, two times for my nagas. This was a very beautiful experience for me. I really appreciated y'all allowing me to do this for you. If you like the shit, you see what I'm saying, drop me a little review. Let me know how things go. Sleep on it. You see what I'm saying? Hit me up in the morning. Hit me up with whatever the fuck reviews y'all got. I really appreciate it. CosmicChaos.com/consultations. If you want to book a individualized reading with me, I have plenty of different services available. I also have, Zolkin services available if you're interested in the way the system kind of works and sets itself up and the accuracy and the in-depthness of what it can deliver. Definitely hit me up. CosmicChaos.com/shop if you'd like to purchase any of our digital products. We also have a new digital consultation. Mama Kali is doing the Animal Within. I think that's definitely a nice way for you all to ground yourself into your root chakra energy, really see what animal totem best fits, you see what I'm saying, that root chakra energy, so that way you can begin to deal with it and work with it. Check me out on Instagram. I'll be doing all the goddamn lives, Cosmic_Chaos. Check me out on Twitter. Y'all know what the deal is. Fuck with me. Thank you so much. One time for my niggas, two times for my niggas. It was a beautiful opportunity. We cut through it, y'all. We cut through the shit. Now it's time to change up the complex and shake this shit up. Time for that last laugh, all right? This is the last surrender. This is the Kawak Trikana. This is going to lead us right into Sagittarius season. This expansion is about to be real hard. I just need you to keep cutting through, and the last laugh will be yours, all right? Peace.